Now, most of the African cultures, they had a tendency, or even now, they have a tendency to demean women, to look down on women. So the way of nurturing a girl is a way of demeaning women. So some women have been brought up, nurturing was like, oh, even the parents are regretting why they gave birth to a girl than to a boy. Have you not heard? There are some communities, they don't count ladies. When a man has 5 boys and 3 girls, and you ask him, how many children do you have? He will say, I have 5 boys, I have 5. He does not count girls, even in this country. Even now, there are some people like that. So if you are nurtured in that kind of a place, of a family, your way of thinking will be affected greatly by that kind of nurturing. Are you getting something? Okay, let me bring it down. Now, you have heard of a child abuse. And why the world is fighting child abuse. If you abuse your child, as you are bringing up the child, you are abusing the child, beating the child, abusing the child, calling the child names, that kind of nurturing is going to make or decide how the child will be thinking. Maybe the child may grow up thinking I'm useless. Maybe the child may grow up thinking, anyway, I'm not that important. Maybe that child will grow thinking, oh, I am worthless. I am to suffer. I am to not to be treated well. Are you getting now? So naturally speaking, thoughts, our thought life will be determined by our environment and our nature. And as we speak right now, our nature, because it is our nature or where we are, our environment, is not perfect. There is no nature that is perfect. And there is no nurturing that is perfect. Why? Sin came into the world, has corrupted everything. For all have sinned, and they have fallen short of the glory. With the entry of sin, nature was affected, and nature has been affected. So that means there is no perfect nature that can make your mind the way you are supposed to think. So if you are naturally, if your mind is just made by nature, you'll be deformed in a particular way. Okay. Are we getting something? If you just grow naturally, by nature, your way of thinking will be deformed in a particular way. There will be a deficiency. There will be a problem somehow in how you think. And that is why we are told now as believers, go back to Romans 12. Are we together until there? All right. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. That's why we need a transformation. And how is that transformation happening? It is happening by a renewed mind. Something about our mind. There are many people today, they are 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, that have been suffering because their way of thinking has been dictated by nature. There are many people today, no matter their age, they are still suffering because their way of thinking has been affected by how they were brought up. Nature. Now, have you not, it is actually common observation. If you were abused as a child, you were likely to be an abuser. I've dealt with cases, I'm talking about practical cases, real cases. Somebody was raped by your father, and that person now cannot help but be a prostitute. somebody was raped or abused sexually by an uncle, and because of that, that person has become sexually promiscuous. Are you getting something? Yeah. Okay, don't even take it to the extremes of sexual harassment. Let's say you lived never having enough the way you were brought up. Everything was scanty. Everything was literal. Food was never enough. It was only one meal in a day, which was not even enough. And you grow up. If you don't get another power that will transform you and your mentality, even after you are grown up and you have a good job and you are making a lot of money, you will be seeing something wrong in your way of thinking. Some of the people that are misers, you know who is a miser? Who is a miser? Somebody who holds too much, even against himself. Are you getting that? He's a what? A miser. And being too mean. You are seeing, you have a lot of food, but you are seeing that like food is finished. Or you don't know, you have not heard stories of people now, they have food, but when they hear a visitor is coming, they put the food under the table. Yeah. And they increase the volume of the TV. So that when you come in, the volume of the TV and the stories on the TV, they are going to entertain you more until you cannot smell the nice smell of the food. By the way, that is how people are in the world. That is how people are. You are simply, how you treat your wife and how you treat your children, how you treat your husband, if you don't receive another power that we are giving you from this altar, you are basically controlled by nurture and nature. You are thinking, you are conformed already to how you are brought up and to your environment. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you saw your father beating your mother. And it was so persistent. And that was the order of the day. Your father always beat your mother. So that is the environment you grew up in. So now you are independent. You have your own family. You'll find that you have those tendencies to abuse your wife, to beat your wife. Many times you just feel like beating your wife. How many people have been feeling like beating your wife? It is because you're borrowing from somewhere. Are you getting that? Yeah. Yeah, you just feel like that. Just feel like you want to beat your wife. You feel like your wife is not wife enough until she's beaten, because even though you are not very conscious, your mind has been conformed to nature and nurture. But as a believer, now look at that. I use the word but very deliberately. But as a believer, our way of thinking should not be by nature and by nurture. We should be transformed. Are you saying an amen to that? We should be what? Transformed. That is moving from this kind of form to a different kind of a form.